What happens when a living rock legend spills secrets about a lost icon? At 85, Grace Slick isn't holding back. Her raw memories of Jim Morrison are jaw-dropping, emotional, and unfiltered. This isn't just a story. It's a piece of rock history being cracked open, one wild, chaotic, unforgettable night at a time. Imagine an 85-year-old rock legend lifting the veil on a memory so raw, so vivid, that it instantly transports you to the reckless heart of the 1960s. Grace Slick, the electrifying voice behind Jefferson Airplane, isn't interested in polite nostalgia. She's recounting her wild, bizarre, and unforgettable night with Jim Morrison of The Doors, and her story still shocks. This isn't some faded backstage tale. It's a messy, passionate, deeply human memory of two untamable spirits colliding in a haze of psychedelia, lust, and self-destruction. Grace Slick was never your typical rock frontwoman. Born in 1939, she tore through the boundaries of her time with a voice that could shake walls and a presence that commanded attention. Jefferson Airplane catapulted her into fame with hits like Somebody to Love and White Rabbit, and by the late 60s, she had become a goddess of the psychedelic era. On the other end of the stage stood Jim Morrison, the brooding, magnetic frontman of The Doors. With his leather pants and haunted poetry, he was part rock star, part myth. When their bands toured Europe together in 1968, their paths crossed, and combusted, in Amsterdam. In her most recent interviews, Grace shares new details of that night with zero filters. Picture a hotel room drenched in chaos, strawberries smashed on the bed, the walls, the floor. A scene of impulsive desire and pure rock and roll energy. She remembers Morrison as physically spectacular, gorgeous, in her own words, and is blunt about the chemistry they shared. But just as quickly as it happened, Jim vanished. No call, no note, he simply retreated into the shadows of his own legend. Grace jokes that maybe she was terrible in bed, but behind the humor is a flicker of something deeper. That night stayed with her, even if he didn't. What makes Grace's story hit even harder is what came after. During that tour, she watched Jim spiral. He'd strip naked in hotel hallways, howl like an animal, and eat whatever fans handed him, treating his body like an experiment. She once called him a human guinea pig. And it's no surprise to her that he burned out at 27 in a Paris bathtub. She later told The Guardian that Morrison reminded her of a floating work of art, beautiful but doomed. At 85, her tone is reflective, not cruel. Her revelations aren't attacks. They're memories, fascinating, flawed, and deeply human. So why speak now? Because Grace Slick has always been a straight shooter. This is the same woman who once tried to spike President Nixon's tea with LSD. She may have traded the mic for paintbrushes, but that defiant spirit never left her. At 85, she's not rewriting history, she's revealing it. Her story isn't just about one night with Jim Morrison. It's about what it meant to be wild, young, and unchained during a time when rock stars lived like there was no tomorrow, and often didn't get one. While Morrison remains a tragic legend, frozen forever at 27, Grace is still here. Still fierce, still unapologetic, and still telling stories that shaped the culture. Their night together wasn't just a fling. It was a snapshot of an era that will never come again. One of passion, chaos, and emotional fallout. Grace's memories aren't about scandal, they're about survival. They're a reminder that behind the myths are real people who lived, hurt, and kept going. She emerged from the storm with scars and stories. He didn't. That contrast is what makes her recollection so powerful, and why we're still listening. What do you think? Does Grace's version of Jim Morrison change the way you see him? Leave your thoughts in the comments, send this to the rock lover in your life, and subscribe for more untold stories from music's wildest legends.